Ooh, something new. What is going on, all you profitable stylists and all you future profitable stylists out there? We are talking about the impact of hair loss on your self-esteem. So do you have more self-esteem when you have hair? Do you have less when you lose it? Good morning, Bernard. Good morning.
I don't know. I've always had a whole lot of hair. And some people think I've always had a whole lot of self-esteem. I didn't always, but it didn't have anything to do with the hair. I grew up as a very shy boy, would never speak in front of a crowd. And for me, just doing hair extensions, I got really good at it, ended up in the right place, right time, in front of a whole bunch of people, just doing it, scared to death, and then knew all the answers to the questions. And that's where the self-esteem came from. But you're right. He was just saying that I've never had the no hair thing to know.
Well, but you have been mentioning that you're shedding lately a little more than usual.
I am. You can see my
and
scalp.
that has made you some semi self-conscious
Yes,
about it.
That's true. That's true. But in the early days, I often thought about shaving my head and having a hair system put on to see what it felt like to just go through the physical experience of what people do. And I never did come to doing it. So I always felt like I might be missing something as far as what people think or feel. But I do feel like I've been doing it for so many years, heard so many stories. I do feel like I finally kind of can be a little empathetic, little sympathetic of what people are going through, what they're feeling, why they're doing it. And I do think it's changed over time.
It's absolutely changed over time. In the 80s and 90s especially, everything was appearance. Everything was appearance. In the early 2000s, that's when the bald head trend, like it actually started trending.
So it was okay.
And it was okay. It was actually cool to shave your head. Like it was cool to not have head,
Yeah, hair replacement studios got nervous. They said, "Oh, the men are going to shave their head. We need to tell them it's not okay." So we would go to these seminars and they were like plotting and planning, like, how can we say people are not better looking bald? We can't have all these men shaving their heads. We won't sell hair replacement. And some of them are saying, not everybody's going to shave their head. Not everybody has a nice head when they shave their head. Not everybody's going to want it. And so I do remember going through that fear of the beginning of the trend.
That was really wild. So then, we would not, and then there was a time when, well, and then we'll get to the women in a moment here, but then do you wear a toupee? Is it a rug? What is it called? Is it a squirrel hat? Like everybody was making fun. They're like, oh, look at his piece. That looks so fake in the early days. And then the transplants, oh, you got a cornfield on your head, like everybody was making fun of the plugs. So there was a lot of negative connotations to that, but it was better than being straight bald, So it was like, pick your poison, which way you're going to do it. But it was very concerning for the men's side of thing. From the women's side of thing, oh my God, that is the number one thing still to this day. The first thing that gets judged is either the hair or the outfit that a girl is wearing. And this is from women judging women. This isn't from guys judging women. This is women judging women. It's the very first thing is either the outfit or the hair. So losing hair, yeah, that's huge.
A big, yeah. And so it's a big part of our success and profitability, and part of being profitable as a stylist is helping people gain their hair, or as we say, gain their confidence, because it is so directly related. Should it be? Who knows? I mean, there's so many. Where are the lines? Like, where is the line of what you should or shouldn't do to improve your appearance? I mean, we wear clothes. Some people would say it's vain or vanity, but again, where's the line? Should we all just be in one color tan jumpsuits and that's it? Should we not wear clothes at all? Are clothes vain to start with? And then where's the line of, as far as like, we're just covering up to be polite, maybe in some cultures. And then as we're covering up, do we wear a tie? Do we wear a collar? Do we tuck? Do we not? Oh, your buttons are unbuttoned too far. It's trashy. Button it up. So your clothes are too tight. They're too loose. I can see every curve. It's such a wild, like, what is right and wrong. But then some people will call me out on YouTube when I'm doing a hair replacement video. I would never be that vain. Why don't you just go with what God gave you? Why are you wearing clothes? God didn't put you here with clothes on. So, it just, where's the line? I got to say, when I first started doing hair replacement, I fell into how vain is getting hair. Is it a vanity thing? Is it wrong?
I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's wrong. Where is the line? That's a strong question. That's an awesome question. I don't have an answer for you.
No, there's no
other
answer.
than, each individual person's got to come up with their own line to cross. I wear black. I'll never wear a color. If I do wear one, it'll be gray or
I think one time you came on here with a different color before we went live, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you got a white shirt on, dude? And you went,
and I was shamed, and I'll never wear white again.
Before we went. Yeah.
But it makes me feel good to be in darker colors. Why? I don't know. It feels like then my contrasting pasty skin is shown more, because this porcelain is a lot of work. Staying away from the sunlight is very hard. So Carmelina loves the color blue. So there's a lot of blue accents throughout the house, and that makes her feel better about life. She comes into my room and there's black everywhere, and she's all of a sudden, she physically, she just shrinks. So there is some kind of psychological thing to the self-esteem. I mean,
and
I
then
can tell you,
women have been wearing hair forever. And so I feel like that was a pretty sexist thing, as far as like men start trying, it was okay for an old man to wear an ugly looking toupee. Pretty accepted in society. Then when it starts getting nicer looking, better looking, younger guys are wearing human hair, thinner skin membranes, barely tell it's on. Then they start getting criticized. Why do you need that? Oh, what? Why? Because it looks good and I'm a guy? I didn't get that part of it. The society of putting hair on got really attacked right when it started getting really good and it was on guys. But nobody's ever made fun of a woman. Well, maybe some people, but in generally, society does not make fun of women for wearing wigs, hair pieces, clip-ons, I was about to say toupees, all the different size little pieces, ponytails. It's always looked at as an accessory, but men weren't supposed to do it at some point.
Not only an accessory, it's looked as empowering. Everybody compliments how good a woman looks
with more hair, usually
with more hair, and
not always, but usually.
Yeah, and I mean, think about this, to the point where, look at technology nowadays. Breast cancer is a huge pandemic, whatever epidemic for women. And cancer in general too. I'm just, in particular, we're close to breast cancer in our industry. We deal with that a lot. The first thing most women say is, I'm going to have to go in to start doing chemotherapy. Am I going to lose my hair?
Right.
How am I going to save my hair? What am I going to do about my hair? Like, they're obviously concerned about their health, but they're still worried and concerned more about their outwardly appearance more than anything else.
Yeah, very common. I mean, I know I often, the thing that people don't want to talk about is, it does quickly seem like most people are more worried about their appearance before their death. And maybe it's about what they're going to look like when they die or in the coffin. And I know that seems morbid. It's just the fact. And they'll say it in my chair when I was doing hair. They would say, I'm going to lose my hair. I know it sounds wrong, but I'm more worried about losing my hair than I am about dying, because I just don't want to live those last few weeks or months or years looking bad. And I don't know if that's right or wrong either. I just always thought how lucky I was to be in a business where people wanted the service I provide more than they cared about living. And so it was just a powerful money making thing for me in the early years. I was like, thank God I'm in the right place. They want hair before they even care about dying. But at the same time, I think they don't have as much control over the life or death. They're going to just do what the doctor says, and they're going to try to be healthier, but they can actively choose to do something about their hair. And so they're gonna try to look good along the way, because it is a sad side effect of most chemo or radiation or some sort of doctor's treatment plans for cancer is to lose your hair. And that's just a small part of why people lose their hair. I am always amazed at the hair shows and functions and family things I go to, and people, when they learn or know that I put hair on boulders, and people, they always ask, is it all cancer patients? Or have you advertised at the cancer center? You'd probably get more clients. That's a very small percentage of our hair replacement clients, even on the women's side. And we do men and women. And it always does help boost confidence, everything about a person, their head's held higher, but it's men and women. And the truth is, we don't know why most people lose their hair. There's a lot of little different reasons. It could be health, stress, cancer is a small one. Genetics is probably the biggest one.
Cookies and have
What's that?
I don't think we don't have enough ice cream and cookies. I think we don't focus on desserts enough.
What is this comment? Not for women. Testimonials, not for women. What do we mean? Not for women?
No. That the one comment was it's acceptable to be bald when we were talking about for the men.
I see what you're saying. So that's interesting. So it's not acceptable. I mean, it's getting more acceptable for a man to wear hair and have hair. That is one of the good things that came out of Facebook and TikTok. The younger stylists jumping into the hair replacement game just started showing the general public how it works. And that freaked people out. So it freaked the hair studio owners out. They stopped. The older owners were like, you can't show people how it's done. They won't come to us. They don't want to do it. They just want to know how it's done. They're going to learn when they come and pay anyway. And then if they see it and think they can do it, they're going to do it themselves. So I love open source. And that's probably something a little different than what most people my age would accept. I love the open source, the honesty, the teach everybody everything. It was how I got a lot of color customers in the early days. Somebody would come in, it was obvious they did their own color, and they just come in for a haircut and style. And I'd say, you're coloring your own hair. And they'd look at me like, wait, what? How do you know that? And then I'd say, listen, the reason I know it is because your hair and your look is suffering because you were doing it yourself. Let me explain how you could do it better and you would look better. And when you go through all the steps and processes and why and how you shouldn't be putting it all over your head every single time you do it, because it's getting darker and darker on the ends and it's looking black and it's looking muddy and it's just looking terrible and the color's not the same from scalp to end. And if I start at the root and then I mix a different formula for the mid strand and only pull it out to the end sometimes, depending on, and you explain all this, they're like, would you just do it? Yes. Yeah. So being honest helps a lot. And so I think just being a little bit more open, like we are in the hair replacement world, we're telling and showing people how it's done. That's where I was starting with in the very beginning, that it's different now. The young society has put it all out there, and we're getting a lot more younger people saying, I didn't have super low self-esteem from not having hair. I think I'd probably look better, and I could probably do more, look better, or I just want to do it for a change. I just want to see what it's like to have hair. So more people are jumping into hair, but are more easily okay with, I tried it and jumping back out. Some stay. So we do have more people starting and stopping because it's not all about self-esteem as much these days, and they can give it a try and quit. Whereas in the old days, it was a very, very low self-esteem people, very secret, get hair on their head. They never quit because they never want anybody to ever know they didn't actually have hair. So that part of the business has changed. What were you going to say?
Well, I got a question for you, because growing up, the only woman that I knew that was bald or buzzed, I guess, was Sinead O'Connor.
And she was beautiful.
And she was, like I said, but that was like the only woman that was like, the first time I saw her, I'm like, what the hell? And I was like, she's so cute. Like her face was so like she was a beautiful woman.
Good job with her makeup, right?
She had no hair. So then I was like, it was so confusing. And I was young, But
I liked her music, so that helped out a lot too.
no, right. So that was cool. And then you fast forward a little bit. Demi Moore does the movie G.I. Jane, and then she's like it was a military movie,
Yeah,
you
and she's
know,
a
or it was a
badass
Marine or
with a shaved
something.
head. Right.
And she shaved her head, and that, I'm telling you, the attention that got, the fact that that was not a bald cap, she actually buzzed her head, you know, and I was like, holy cow. So she had to walk around for a couple of years with
Growing it
pixies
back
and
out.
shoulder
Right.
cuts and stuff.
Right.
So but then, you know, she's a celebrity, so she's on the red carpet, and she just did the movie.
But
Everybody knows.
most women do not look better with their head shaved.
No, but
In
she
my
buzzed
opinion.
her head. No, I know they don't look better with shaved buzz heads, but then you'd
Poor
see
man.
her like a month later, she has hair again. So that was some kind of non-surgical. That was some kind of a wig. That was so what are those? Was it like how are the wigs and the extensions play into, you know, the hair loss or the adding more hair? Because you'd see her in the beginning, she was interviewing for the movie, and then all of a sudden she completely disappeared for months. And then whenever you'd see her, she'd have a wig on, or she'd have some kind of a non-surgical hair piece.
Probably didn't like her short hair.
And then she'd disappear again for months, you know.
Well, maybe she's making other movies where she has to have hair. And you know, the movie Troy was one of the first times I realized on the big screen. I was just getting into, not getting into, but the skin and the lace systems were just getting popular about 20, 25 years ago. And Brad Pitt is, you know, he's the best fighter in the movie Troy. They kind of play on the Achilles heel thing. He takes an arrow to the Achilles tendon, and that brings him down. And then he gets killed, and he's laying dead or dying on the battlefield. And they zoom in, and on a big screen, you know, the big giant screen, his face is bigger than a building on the screen. And so they zoom in on his hairline like that, you know, and I could see the lace. And I was like, I didn't even know. So this is what I've been thinking about our whole conversation here. You are talking about all the bad ones, but you didn't traditionally do hair replacement like I did for the last 30 years. So what you're saying, you're bringing up these bad ones, but you know what you didn't know? How many good ones were out there. Because when it's good, you don't know. And so we make fun of, even today, of the bad ones at the hair show. We were at a hair. Hey, they were asking about you in Pennsylvania this last weekend. They were asking for Eddie Spaghetti.
I had my class. I had my presentation on this weekend.
But I did not even know they were calling you Eddie Spaghetti. I said, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I said,
Eddie Spaghetti, Chef Boyardee. I've heard it all.
I said, who is Eddie Spaghetti? And they go, that's what we called him all last 2 years ago. So anyway, What was my point? I lost it.
You do have good.
There were other girls doing a hair extension presentation on the stage, and they were well spoken. It was beautiful looking hair. The color didn't match very well, and the placement pattern was terrible. It was too low. And we're looking at each other like, it's not the company and it's not the hair. It's the technician. They're younger. They're not as experienced. They don't have the right color, maybe the wrong model. But I was looking, thinking that could be done better and it could look better. And I actually had one of our models show us, a hairdresser showed up there, and I asked if she was getting extensions, and she was like, they're already in. So I didn't even know that one of our people already had extensions in, because that's how good it can look, that even somebody that does them doesn't notice it, even hair replacement. So you've got that out there. When people think, why would you do that? It looks terrible. They all look terrible. Yeah, all the terrible ones look terrible.
You're right.
But that's the only ones you know. There's a lot of people out there wearing hair that nobody knows is wearing hair. And some of them, for example, was Brad Pitt in the movie Troy, that I didn't even realize it till we got real close up. So in the very early days, there were these thin skins. To give you an idea of how fragile some of these are, is they were made just for the movie set. The membrane is almost tissue thin. The hairs are injected in such a way that they're going to fall out in a week or two, but they look like they're growing right out of the membrane. And you bond that membrane down, and that membrane's a little bigger than where the hair is, and then they put makeup over the edge so you don't even see it. You don't see the edge of it. And so then after they style in, this is why I say skin is better than lace, because when they zoomed in on his head, there was an era where everybody thought lace was better than skin because it was less shiny and it didn't show a gloss at the scalp. So when you pulled your hair back, that lace had more of a matte finish. But when they learned how to make a matte finish out of a skin base, the skin looks more real. It's more consistent. You're not going to see the grid of a mesh when they zoom in on the big screen. So when it's good, and you can't tell, and people don't know. And I think it's interesting because I'm reading some of the comments here, and I see not for women. Men can't do something because it's vain, but then men can't go bald because it doesn't look good. Who makes these decisions? I said, in my opinion, I didn't think most women look good with a shaved head, but I don't really think most men look good with a shaved head either. I like hair. It's my opinion. And so somebody could be like, that is wrong. That's rude. No, it's just opinion. Everybody has opinions. Who makes these right or wrong? I don't know. Just like the vanity thing. We don't know where the line is. Should you have hair? I don't know. Should it be short or should it be long? I don't know. It's up to each person. But in general, we find hair is something most of us have when we're young. And so the fact that we get less of it as we get older, we just inherently look at it as an aging thing. So when people have less hair, we just automatically think that person's older. So we can kind of reverse that for somebody who wants to look or feel younger. And I'm convinced, now I don't have a whole lot of wrinkles for my old 56-year-old age, So not only is it the wrinkles, I know my face looks a little younger than most 56-year-olds, but it's this freaking head of hair that comes down with this tiny forehead that really takes the years off of me. So I know when I put hair on somebody else, and I put it too far down. I don't put it. I try to do age appropriate. Like I don't even have the recession that most people have here. I've got a girl's hairline, which brings the years even further down. And I'm just saying what I see and recognize, and people call out on me of why I might look younger than my age. And so that's all we're doing is saying, hey, you want to look younger? I can help you, because it's just a fact. Look, more hair is going to make you look and feel younger. And in some cases, a tan. I'm just messing with you.
Hi, Neha. Thanks for saying hi. Yes, the color of your skin, the bronzing, the tanning, the hair, all of those things are going to factor in. There are a lot of studies that show the psychological effects or the self-esteem. Everybody wants to look cool. And so throughout history, we have had fashion icons, and we've
Tell
had
us what we should look like, right?
people that we should look like, or people that aspire. Everybody thinks, and if they can mirror an image of something else or somebody else, whether it's a pretend character or a real life person, then they themselves would feel cool or strong or beautiful or whatever it is. Right. So there's a lot of things that you can do to help recreate that look. Some of those options would be a wig. Some of those options would be long hair bonding. Other options would be straight hair replacement and or hair extensions. So if you look at the fashion icons, I mean, think about this. When you've mentioned Cher before, when she had, and Madonna, when they had the sleek, long, straight hair. Not a lot of people have that bone straight hair like that. So
they don't either.
And they didn't either. So a lot of women were wearing wigs. When Marilyn Monroe came out, everybody started doing bleach blonde, and when Farrah Fawcett was hot, everybody, well, still hot, but everybody was doing the we call it the butterfly layering nowadays. Everybody was doing
feathered
feathered style. I lost my word.
No, but the names all get changed with the new, like the mullet is the wolf now, or but that's the whole thing. Everything evolves, and then like now the broccoli heads.
some K-pop
I
singer,
haven't heard
and
it called a broccoli head, but that's
I don't
good.
know what the hell to call it, but like there's that
Are you
athlete
making
that
up
had,
that term?
what's that?
Did you make up broccoli head, or you saw that or read that somewhere?
I don't know if I made it up. I don't know if somebody else got. Look, if I thought it, then 10 other people have thought it too. Okay.
Well, I was I had gone to the chiropractor a year or two ago. I was having some neck problems. He was talking about his son. He felt like he looked like an alpaca, and then I said, it's funny when you say that. That is the trend for the young kids right now to have that big hair on top, and they do but I've heard and seen other people call it the alpaca look now, but I haven't heard broccoli head. But yeah, big bushy hair on top.
Start sending it around.
It's what everybody. You're right. Everybody's copying each other to feel comfortable, so you fit in.
So when would you wear a wig versus long hair? A long hair bonding.
You'd have to go back and look at our video last week or the week before to figure that one out.
Okay, fair
enough about that. But I know you got that comment. Our administrators are asking.
The boss wants to know.
The boss wants to know. I don't think it's a if this then that. I think if you want more hair, sometimes you can only do a one option. It's good to know them all. That's why education is important, because that's one of my pet peeves too. I don't know if I'm talking to a hairdresser or a client. I never know which one I should be talking to, but I always feel for the client, because I want to say, you go do a consultation because you just want more hair or longer hair. And then you don't know what your stylist don't know. You don't know what your stylist doesn't know. And that's a scary thing for me now that I know so much. I think, God, I feel bad for that client that goes into that hairdresser and she's saying, well, I have this problem and that problem and this what's going on. What would be best for me? And the stylist is thinking, well, I only know how to do tape-in extensions. And they're like, well, as I evaluate your hair, I think the best thing for you would be, let me look at this long list of things that I provide. Tape-in extensions. Think that's what's going to fix your problem. Oh, thank you, hairdresser. And then that's what they do. And it's sad because the client has no idea. This is like a public service announcement. Maybe ask that stylist, how many different types of hair additions, hair replacement, hair extensions do you know how to do? When the list is 1 or 2, maybe you have multiple consultations with multiple different stylists. And I think that most people just think that every stylist knows everything, because you go to a professional and you don't know what they know or don't know. And a lot of us are faking it till we make it. So as we're faking it, they don't know if we don't know. And then you're suing them or trying to get your money back, and you're trying to get your hair fixed because it slid out, fell out. So that's a tough question to answer. What should I do? If a stylist actually knows all the things that are possible, or the person you have in the consultation with, well, then you might have more than one option, but many times one option is the option right now. No, you don't need a top of head. All you need is extensions. Extensions will thicken your hair and fix 80-90% of your problem. You might not need hair on top of the head just yet, even though you don't like that thin part. It's also thinning all of this hair. And so if I thicken all that, I think you'll be happy. Sometimes it is a wig over hair replacement, depending on how much hair they have to attach to or not. I think we've covered that in some other videos. That's a lot to answer that. I think
it is. There is definitely a mindset out there that if the hair is not looking good that day, people just don't want to go out. How many times?
Well, that's a good point, because you don't have to have bad hair or thin hair to wear a wig. And a wig is the fastest, easiest option to change your appearance quickly.
Yeah. But like, how many times have you heard a girl say, I'm having a bad hair day? And then their entire day is ruined. And they got a great outfit on, but they can't get their hair to do what they want it to do. They don't want to go out anymore. It really does lower the self-esteem in that regards. So we may not know where a line is per se, but we can definitely tell you there is definitely something to it that if anything, I've had girls cry in my chair because the color didn't come out the way they envisioned it to come out. And then on the flip side, I've had girls cry in my chair because the color came out way better than they envisioned it coming out. So either way, I got people crying, and I'm like, what is happening, man? And you're either crying tears of joy or you're crying tears of sadness. But it has such an emotional impact, because I say this a lot, when at the end of the day, the only judge of anything and anybody is yourself. You are your own worst judge of character. When you look in yourself in the mirror, that's the person you're fighting in this world. You're not fighting anybody else. You may be pressured from family or loved ones, co-workers, bosses, in industry, society, whatever you want to, whatever you subscribe to. And in there lies the problem. If you subscribe to what people are pressuring you to do and look like, you're gonna feel weak, and you're not going to have that I rule my own life mentality. You're going to have the, oh, I hope I don't get yelled at or shunned mentality, and you're just going to shrink up. If you subscribe to the Profitable Stylist, then you're always going to be motivated. You're always going to be inspired. You're always going to feel empowered. And then you're going to be standing more tall and shoulders back, and you're going to have that winner mentality. You're going to be.
So they should subscribe right now?
That's the answer to life. Okay. If that's not a shameless plug and the answer to all of today's topic,
you beg for a subscription. I was like,
I did not
almost hit the subscribe button.
That was not a beg, man. That's how you know you have self-esteem, that you can proudly state fact. Okay.
Yeah. Subscribe. No, it's what you're saying is funny, because I didn't even think about it. That was pretty powerful. I don't think it's going to ever matter. It's great to hear, and maybe it'll help somebody. But what you said is so true. Nobody else is supposed to matter. It's only supposed to matter to you. But that's life, right? That's humans. We all care what other people think to some degree, whether we like it or not, whether we want to or not. We all tend to care what other people think about what we think, look like, say, perform, and we're all feeling judged to some degree. But ultimately, you're right. I don't know what good that does to say it, but maybe some of us can care a little less what other people think, and that would raise our self-esteem a little bit.
Though. That's the whole thing. Like I was shy growing up. You were shy growing up.
Yeah.
Did you ever think, fast forward 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you'd be on stage in front of hundreds and thousands of people and teach one-on-one and groups, thousands? Like, do you realize we have trained thousands, not 10, not 100s, thousands of stylists over the years? I took an average. I was doing some calculation with my brother-in-law over the weekend. He stayed with us because I had my show this weekend myself. It's been on average a little over 300 people, 300 stylists a year for the past 20 years is what we came up with, the number that we came up with.
What's 300 times 20?
6,000 stylists. I have trained 6,000 stylists in my career. That's insane.
Yeah.
I would have never thought I would have the brain power or
Me neither.
how they call testicular fortitude to stand up in front of all these people and give my opinions and state facts and put myself out there to be judged by so many other people and still be able to roll with the punches, because you don't always get the compliments. And when you do, you don't hear them nearly enough or as much as you hear the people saying bad stuff about you or pointing out the negative stuff about you, Right. And this is so true. At the end of the day, the only currency that any of us have to share with each other is a respect. And if you find people, like I said earlier, if I thought it, 10 other people have thought it. If I feel it, there's another select group of people out there that feel it too. You are not alone in this world. You may feel it or think it or dwell on it. But no, you're not the only emo. You're not the only, unicorn either, unfortunately. It kind of defeats the purpose of being a unicorn. But but there is other magical people out there such as yourself, and you should find those people.
That's the point. That's the point. Find other people like you that care about what you like. I think that's what our administrators are putting on the screen now. I've been calling them our administrator.
Right. That's what I refer to them from now on. Is
you actually have a choice. You choose your friends. You can choose to not care what anybody thinks and not have any friends and still get by. But it's hard. We are humans. We like other people. We're social creatures. So now choose your friends. Why?
It's easy enough.
Right. Why choose the friends that criticize you all the time? I was going to name some that I don't.
So do you ever try to keep up with the Joneses? You know that expression?
Of course, everyone does to some degree, right?
But why?
Well, it doesn't matter. We just do.
It's just a thing
because I got to win. It's not keep up. I am the Joneses. They got to try to.
You are the Joneses. There you go.
Try and keep up, buddy. That's my goal, to be the Joneses. Be better. No, actually, I moved out. I don't like the traditional neighborhood situation, so I didn't want the neighbors I had to keep up with. We moved out onto a few acres. When I got a little older, I wanted to have a little land. I wanted to have, I don't know, just have play a little bit, I hate to say it, a tractor, a big vegetable garden, some animals, and you really can't do that in a neighborhood. So I didn't do it because I hated people, because I love people. But you can never control what neighbors you have, and you may or may not like your neighbors, or they may not like you. But it was never enough land for me to play on. So as I got older, went from a neighborhood to a neighborhood with an acre lot. Then I got to 10 acres because I can have some more fun on there. And I realized, this is nice. There's no Joneses to keep up with. I didn't really think about that at first. I was doing it more selfishly. I want more land to play on. I want the pond, the fishing, some animals, the vegetable garden kind of thing, the woods to ride the four-wheeler in. And then I realized I might be happier with no neighbors to keep up with, or keep up with me. So it's kind of like what we're talking about is like choosing your friends, or choose not to have the people next door to you that are going to judge you. Now, ironically enough, there are still people that are going to be next door. They're just a little further away, and they do affect my life to some degree, good or bad sometimes. And it's just not as hourly and daily as somebody pulling up in a driveway right next to you that you got to wave to every day. It's different. And I just, that small analogy makes me realize that we care. We all care what other people think. And so try to choose your friends, choose your salon better. But with all of that said, one of my favorite analogies here that I don't think people realize is that you can either be a thermostat or a thermometer. Have you ever heard that analogy?
No, explain it.
Yeah. So what does a thermometer do?
Gauge, measure temperature
in the room. Right. So we can measure the temperature in the room and see, and let's use, before we do that, what's a thermostat do?
Oh, it sets the temperature.
Isn't that neat?
I like it.
Yeah. You either set the mood in the room, or you're just measuring it. You're like, it's pretty negative in here. Maybe I'll be negative too. So you can decide to be a thermostat. You can decide it's a little hot in here. I'm going to make it a little more positive. You can decide to change the temperature in the room, or you can just adjust to the temperature in the room. And that's what most people do. Most people don't realize they have the power to change it. And so some people, with power comes great responsibility.
Okay.
No, seriously, because that's, you can, it's like I feel like we're watching a Marvel movie now, right? And it's true, because that's all. Power is not good or bad. Some people use their power. That's where salesmen get the negative connotation. It's like, oh, I wouldn't want to be a salesman. No, skills is just a skill and a power, and you can use it for good or bad. Same thing with the temperature in a room. Like sometimes I do have, with good friends, I have a leaning to change the temperature, not necessarily good or bad, but to very harsh. With a group of guy friends on a camping trip, you know, we're going to start cutting each other down, but we call it fun, and girls don't understand it. And it's a different setting of the temperature, but I'm definitely the temperature setter. Everybody thought this one guy was in the group till I joined the group, and they're like, God, you got him beat, because I can make fun of people much more harshly than anybody else can. And I don't know why they're still friends with me, but they enjoy it for some reason. It's on the fun level, I guess. It's not good or bad necessarily till somebody quits the camping trip or never comes back. But it's just me realizing I have the power to change everything, that this whole relationship, the whole dynamics of what's going on right now. I could just leave it slow and boring, or maybe it gets fast and fun, but I'm just could be a bystander and watch it happen, or I can control it. And we can move fast and fun and everything can go my way. And if somebody else has a good idea and they go that way, I might even incorporate that and say, great idea. Let's use your idea right now. But I'm still in charge. I'm still the thermostat saying, what a great idea. Let's try that, but let's do it a lot faster and more fun than your sorry ass slow way of doing it. You know, I'm still driven. Some people would call it driven, control freak. I mean, there's a lot of other words you could use for it. But to me, it's like, one of the things that I live by, and I ask people sometimes, are you the person that just, like at work, people ask me, why am I not successful? What could I do different? I say, well, I don't know. Let's think about it. Are you the kind of, you just got to, I don't say, are you? I say, well, you know, there's just different kind of people out there. There's people that let things happen, and there's people that make things happen. Mm-hmm. Well, I am definitely the kind of person that makes things. I'm thinking, no, you're not, or you would not be talking to me right
show
now.
Me. Get out there and show me then. I want to see this. You know?
Oh, yeah. I just don't know what to do, right? This is a new avenue for me. Okay, I'll give you some ideas. And then 2 weeks later, they haven't done any of them. Then I know that's a let things happen kind of person, not a make. So you just have to, I don't know if this still relates to our topic. I might have got off track.
You think? No, Bernard, get off track. Never.
Confidence.
Right, I got one for you. You and I have done shows together. Your cowlicks, you have more cowlicks on your head than anybody I've ever known. Your cowlicks have cowlicks. So when you wake up in the morning, your hair is like still magically in place because your tousled hair, the cowlicks like is magically pushed back in the way, you know, back in place, right? But I remember one show, one time, you had one hair, like a tuft of hair was sticking out the wrong way. And I didn't pay attention to it. You come down from stage, and I don't know how you saw it either, but then you come up to me and goes, man, look at this thing sticking out this way. Why haven't you said something? Why you been letting me walk around looking like this all day? I'm like, Bernard, I didn't, you know, we're on stage, things are happening. I didn't notice. Like, you gotta pay attention to these things, man. I look like a goofball. I'm like, I'm okay, you know, but you didn't mean it. You weren't upset about it.
No,
you were just pointing out. You
don't care. How can you not notice these things as a hairdresser?
As a hairdresser, right? So I was like, okay, so it mattered to some degree. And then I remember, talking about Philly, I remember having to wake up and, you know, I'm starting to lose my hair and everything, right? So the hair I have left, it's very thin, it's very fine, and it takes me a minute to make it up and look like it's fuller than what it actually is. Mm-hmm. And I remember having to beat you downstairs. So you were like, oh, I got to get up. You know, like the first night I woke up at freaking 5 o'clock in the morning. The next night I didn't go to sleep at all or some crap.
I know, because we both kind of pride ourselves in the same thing. I'm usually the first one to the booth or in the waiting area, and you freaking beat me that day.
It's that professional competitive. Like, we have competitive personalities, you know.
Did you beat me the second day too? I can't remember.
Did. I was so proud.
You knew I was going to go for earlier. So.
But here's me. I'm trying to get out of the hotel room and I'm looking and like this thing won't get into freaking place. And I'm like, so it definitely makes me feel self-conscious when this isn't in place. I still don't give two craps what anybody else says, but how do you deal with yourself when you're judging yourself? Like that also has the way your face looks to yourself also plays into your self-esteem on you talking crap rather than somebody else talking crap about or complimenting you for that matter. You definitely feel a little better when you're complimenting yourself, no?
No doubt, no doubt. And that's a tough thing because I think most of us don't think we look good, don't think we're good enough, don't think our clothes are just right. It takes a lot of other people telling you, like doing these videos. We're seeing each other's faces right now. That took a lot of time to get used to seeing, and I would.
Now, for me, I love looking at your face. You're like a dream.
I thought you were going to say you love looking at your face. I love looking at my face. I know everybody likes looking at my face.
Does your face hurt? Because it's killing me.
So I think the self-confidence thing, it's almost like you've got to just do the thing that's uncomfortable till you get comfortable doing it. Sure. In anything. Because I didn't like my voice at first. I started podcasting where we were just recording the voice. I had a little speaker in the car and I'd talk while I was driving and I would hear it. And I thought, who is that person? They sound so stupid. I didn't like my voice, but I got used to hearing my voice like anybody else's. I like my voice just the same as I like anybody else's voice. I can hear it around the office when people are editing my videos. I can hear myself multiple times. And so I've gotten used to my personality, my own facial expressions, my voice. And so I would say you just got to move forward, give it a try, like live videos, video yourself doing anything, video yourself after you've got hair. And I think like when people get hair and they're trying to fix that confidence thing, just looking at it is the most trouble. And I remember we used to tell people immediately go in front of a group of people and see what happens and what's said, like purposely get in front of people. And it's sort of like right here, purposely video yourself and look at yourself. That helps self-confidence. Boy, it's going to be the toughest thing to look at first because you are your biggest critic, right? Everything looks wrong. My nose is too big. My hair's too bushy on the side right now. I mean, I don't have enough product in my hair this morning. That's what I see. I see my teeth aren't perfect. I'd like them a little whiter, a little straighter. I think my front teeth come out a little too much. We all look at these things that we don't think is perfect, but after you look at it enough, you just kind of get used to it and it's not so bad. So I would encourage more people to do that. And a lot of people will get hair, go home, look at themselves in the mirror for a little while and decide they don't like it because they are their only judger. And it just gets worse. You just go down this terrible rabbit hole of negativity. So you've got to get in front of other people that are nice and caring. And maybe they still say, no, buddy, they didn't match your color right. That's not the style for you. You went too big and puffy. You went too short and flat. Maybe you do need to hear that. But most of the time they're like, it looks good. And they're like, you don't think it's too bushy? Well, compared to a bald head, it is bushy. It's not too bushy. It's just you're used to a bald head. And then we put normal hair on your head. It looks like too big. I get it. But you got to have some more friends tell you, do you look normal? People you trust. And most of the time they're like, oh my God, you look so good. You've got to get friends' opinions that you care about, that care about you. And that will help you get over judging yourself so harshly in everything and anything. Watch my presentation. Tell me what you think. But it's got to be people you trust in every area.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about confidence. Just get it.
You build it. It's not given to you. You don't buy it.
Helps.
And the hair definitely helps, right? Spend a little bit time for self-love and self-care. And get used to it. Selfies. I mean, everybody, this is the world now. Selfies. Everybody's always taking a picture, recording something. What else you got? Closing statement.
I was the first one to the booth every morning in Pennsylvania.
This weekend, because I wasn't there.
Right, because you were. That's why I didn't invite you.
That beat me. All right, next year. I'll be there next year.
Yeah.
All right. Let us know what you guys do for your self-confidence and your self-esteem. Let us know what you guys do for your hair. Give us some tips, give us some tricks, share it with other people as well too. So then this way they can build their self-esteem, and we'll go from there. Thank you all for watching. Catch you next week.
Bye, Neha.